The vampire counts march forth.
Hello and welcome to another Total War Warhammer guide. Today we're looking at the Cairn Wraiths and the gorgeously looking Crypt Ghouls. They perform very different roles on the battlefield, so we'll explain that after and show you a little battle, but we'll go through the stats now of them. So, the Cairn Wraiths come in smaller units of 45. They are ethereal, well, I said ethanol, but that's not it. Ethereal, meaning they're kind of ghosty and they take less damage. So, firstly, their big size are armor piercing, meaning they do damage against heavily armored troops, and they also do magic damage, which is really good. They are ethereal, meaning that they take less damage from physical attacks. They also cause terror because they're scary, sort of death-looking ghosts, so that's a nice bonus. They got 2,400 hit points, 0 armor. So don't be too worried about that because their ethereal nature will help them out. They've got quite a low leadership of 40, so I wouldn't keep them too far away from one of your heroes or characters. They've got melee attack of 22. Like I said, that they do magic damage as well, so that's really nice. 20 defense, weapon strength is 38, 32 of that is armor piercing damage, and they've got a pretty low charge of 14. So they are ethereal, meaning they resist 75% of physical damage, which is fantastic. That's why they don't have armor. They've got fear and terror. So if you don't know what fear and terror is, fear, the unit frightens all enemy units, reducing their leadership when nearby. It's also immune to, if you cause fear, you're immune to fear. Same with terror. Which is fantastic. It just helps turn the tide of battles and fights. So it causes terror. The unit causes terror, making its melee target root for a short time. Units that cause terror are immune to terror and fear themselves. Okay, they can hide in a forest. Great. They're also undead, meaning instead of running away when they're losing a fight, instead of rooting and just pegging it, they basically start crumbling, which means they take damage, more damage than just what the enemy's dishing out. They start taking excess damage that kills the unit off quicker. And if it gets to a serious state, it's called disintegrating, meaning it causes severe damage to itself. So it's good and bad. You know, that's a bad thing. Taking more damage than needed is not a good thing. But the good thing about undead units is that they will stay in the fight until the last man, meaning you can clog up an enemy unit for longer. You're not going to have units running away. That's always a nice thing. So let's have a look at the Crypt Ghouls. So they come in a much larger unit size of 90, twice the size. They've got 4,860 hit points. These are really good damage dealers, but they do... they're not the most defensive, so they tend to get wiped out pretty quickly. But if you think they're more impact troops, think of them. So they are a damage dealer, and they do poison attacks. So the poison attacks of this unit weaken the target's speed and damage whilst increasing its vigor. So they're going to get tired quicker. Poison's never good. So if you look at their weapons, they're kind of just bone clubs. So they're not very good against armor. So you just want to steer clear of armor altogether with these units because it's like just bouncing off anything. It doesn't work. So they've only got 10 armor. Like I said, they don't survive too long. Leadership of 44, speed 38, which is pretty good. Melee attack of 27 with poison attacks, which is quite nice. 22 defense, not great. 38 damage, okay, and a charge of 15. So they cause fear. They can hide in the forest. They're undead, so they suffer from crumbling and disintegrating. So they've got two very different uses. These two units. One being that they have massive amounts of armor piercing, the other has none whatsoever. So obviously the way you use them is to get stuck in against different targets. The armoured guys, the Cairn Wraiths are going to go after much more heavily armoured targets. They can stay a bit in the fight a bit longer because although they don't have armour, they've got their ethereal nature, so which means they're not going to take or ignore a lot of the damage that they take. So they're going to stay in the fight a lot longer, whereas Crypt Ghouls, you don't want them caught up in a big fight. You want to use these as flank chargers, rear chargers, smash into their sides, break a unit, move on to the next one. If they get caught up in a fight for too long, they're just going to start losing numbers quite quickly because with 10 armour, not great leadership, they're just going to start crumbling pretty quick. So I'd use... you could use Cairn Wraiths. I don't know why I managed to change all the formations there. We're going for the march. The way I'd use Cairn Wraiths is basically as part of my main attack force. With all the skeletons and zombies, I'd have the Cairn Wraiths getting stuck in alongside them. They're very, very good. Like I said, they're going to last a long time because they've got that etherealness in them. And the Crypt Ghouls, I'm going to keep behind, maybe even hide in a forest, and use them as an impact troops. When the other troops are engaged, I'm going to send in these guys to finish them off. One of the big things with Cairn Wraiths is you need to avoid magic damage. Any magic weapons or magic damage from a wizard, say, they will rip through this unit totally. So be very careful with them. So here we go. Charge them into some poor Bretonians. And we'll go in and scythe some guys down. So this is, this is a bit obvious. We're just mucking around with this battle. We're not sort of showing you too much. We'll send Manfred in as well. Why not? Why not? Do we have a cheeky little Curse of Years? Yeah. Let's debuff the enemy. Oh, somebody wants a one-on-one with the Lord, does he? You want to go up against Manfred? So as you can see, the Crypt... I keep forgetting the names. The Cairn Wraiths are just destroying the enemy unit. Remember, they cause terror, so their morale is just reducing. They've got that debuff on them as well. They've taken no damage whatsoever, and we snuck around with the Crypt Ghouls, charge them in the rear, and finish that unit off, get them charging out of the way. If we watch the Crypt Ghouls while they're fighting, I don't know how long this fight's going to last, because they're probably going to scarper quite quickly. This unit will start taking damage. There's not too many in the fight at the moment, so that's pretty lucky. Freya, what are you doing, crazy girl? That's my dog, not my girlfriend. That would be weird, me saying that. And Manfred's just kicking ass, taking names. So they have two very different uses on the battlefield. Remember, these are your sort of bigger troops. You've got your skeletons and zombies make up the bulk of your force. These are more impact troops, or if you want to go for like an expensive army, these are the sort of guys you'd use. So there go the poor Bretonians running away because they can't handle the might of the Vampire Count's army. On the tabletop version, I never really played Vampire Counts. I was much more of a Tomb Kings fan, which was a similar theme, but undead have ranged weapons, catapults, archers. They also have like a beautiful Egyptian theme that I love them until Age of Sigmar fucked them over. Don't get me ranting about Age of Sigmar, everyone. If you don't know Games Workshop stuff, then just ignore that part. Right, there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that little mini guide for these two units. They're some of the best units in the game in the Vampire Count army. I do enjoy using these, especially if the Cairn Wraiths. If they're used properly, I think they can be fantastic. Taking very little damage. Just stay clear of magic. Run away quickly. Run away from magic. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you're new to the place, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.